Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Boss Health Matters. It's a special episode. I'm Gregory Hall. I'm known as the Quantum Health Boss. And this episode just isn't about what's important, it could save a life. Um, my father died. He killed himself when I was 18. And I know what it is when you're dealing with suicide. And one of the reasons why we came with this podcast, because I know there's a lot of people that are suffering, even going and putting out this live, all this marketing, all this advertising. We've already gotten calls of people that are suffering that need help. So I want to introduce here my co-host, my new co-host, Shannon Lee, to the show.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Leeson, and I've also been personally touched by suicide, and I've suffered with anxiety and depression ever since my cancer diagnosis, which people say is normal. So cancer survivors and people of color tend to be at higher risk of suicide and anxiety and depression, and we often don't talk about it. So this is personal for me. It's nice to be here. It's an honor to be here.
Well, thank you for coming and supporting us. This is Suicide Prevention Month, and we are going to do more than just talk. We are going to be here to listen. So if you want to call in, you can call in anonymously. We're going to put the link up on the screen just now. We're sorry that the link changed. But yes, you can definitely call in anonymously. You can send in your messages through the comments wherever you're watching from, or you can text me. You can text me directly to my phone. We'll put up the number on the screen, either 1-800 1866 or my personal line. But if you're in crisis right now, I highly suggest that you call. Which number is it, Shannon?
988. And that works
Yeah,
in the US and
988.
Canada.
If you're in crisis right now, please call 988. But we also have a tool here that can definitely help you in between of calling 988 and probably after the show. And we're going to share that information with you shortly. So we're just going to get right into it, Shannon, and start introducing some of our guests that already showed up. What do you say?
Yes, indeed.
All right. So let's bring up Gary, and we just lost Spencer. So hopefully Spencer makes it back up on. But there he is. Hey, Gary.
Hey.
What brings you to the call today? Tell us a little bit about yourself and see if we can
Well, it's
switch.
good to be here. Thanks for inviting me on. A little bit about myself and why I resonated with this topic. Look, Shannon mentioned before struggling with depression, and I struggled with depression most of my life, and I didn't even realise until many years ago. And I was working in high performance jobs, always high performance, and I stayed of burnout. And I kept going through burnout, and I discovered what's on the other side of burnout, and that is breakdown. You push yourself so hard. So these days I work with other high performance people that cross that burnout line and start to get into the breakdown line, and it's in that where suicidal and or struggle with life start to come to mind. So that's the brief introduction to my story and what I do.
I don't know about you, Shannon, but is Gary's mic a little bit off on you?
I'm hearing a bit of an echo, yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of echo.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why.
We're hearing a lot of echo, Gary, and we want to learn more about your story a little bit. See if we can get that. We'll come right back to you, okay? And let's bring up Spencer. Spencer,
Hey,
what brings you to the call, man? Because we definitely we know it's Suicide Prevention Month. We put out this call, and we know we want to serve people. So tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're gonna bring it to call tonight.
yeah, Gregory. Miss Shannon, pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much
You too.
for having me on. Good evening to you both, and good evening to everybody else, anybody that's watching right now. So, I live in Delaware. I am a single dad. I'm 33, and I'm a recovered addict. Very proud of that, and I'm also a follower of Jesus Christ. And I have struggled with mental health issues most of my adult life. And I know what it's like to feel alone. I know what it's like to feel worthless and to not feel good enough, and to isolate and to seek very toxic vices and advice from people that I shouldn't seek advice from, to try to feel loved, to try to feel valuable. And yeah, I'm just grateful to be alive. And if I can do anything to help anybody that's hurting, even one person, then that is a victory to me. So also, Gary, honor to be on here with you as well, sir.
You see if we can get Gary back on and see if his audio is a little bit better. You there, Gary? You want me to unmute you?
Yeah, I'm here. How's that? Is that any better?
Oh, that's a lot better.
Okay. Now I've got the echo happening in my headphones. So, what was the question again? Sorry, I was just filling the audio
Just
settings.
tell the audience a little bit about you again and what you're bringing to the call tonight.
So, a little bit about me. I'm a father of two, been married 20 years, and it was only in recent years I discovered that I'd been living with depression on and off my whole life and not even realizing it. Now, I was working, pushing very hard, very performance oriented as a person, and I started to burn out, trying to hold career, family, and everything together. And I kept pushing, and medical professionals stepped in and helped covering up the gaps of where my performance was dropping and my capabilities. And I discovered what was on the other side of burnout. I pushed to a mental breakdown, and I didn't give myself permission to stop and look after myself. And recovered now, but quite a year of my life in a very low cycle rebuild from mental breakdown. And if you ask me what happened a couple of years ago, I would have been that. I just say I burnt out, but I realised I went beyond that. And these days, I help other high performance people, people like me, pushing too hard, not listening to their bodies, and avoid that burnout, getting into the breakdown territory, to look after themselves, slow down, and prioritise their physical and mental health. So that's what I do, and that's a bit of my journey.
Thank you for sharing, Gary. Your audio's still a little off. It's choppy for some reason. I don't know what's going on. It might be because you're from the other side of the world. I don't know if anybody heard, but you're all the way from Australia, which is pretty amazing that you're joining us today.
Yes, I've got some choppy audio. First time I'm having audio, I'm fiddling with it, but I don't know what else to do. To everyone, it's a little bit disconcerting.
Well, I heard that you were married for over 20 years and that you are in the field of mental health, it sounded like. It sounds like you definitely got a heart of service, Mr. Gary. So that's amazing. I know all about tech issues, and it can be very frustrating when you have something you want to share and add value. And
yeah.
Mayday, mayday.
Yeah, we definitely had some earlier. My big button started the live by accident, and I couldn't redo it, and that's probably why I lost a few of my guests, maybe. But hopefully, we can get them to come on as soon as possible. But why don't we roll into the first segment there, Shannon?
So,
All
as I
right,
had
I'll
said
do it.
earlier, oh, okay, go ahead.
I'll do it. I'll do it. All right. So this segment is for the ones that who say I wasn't traumatized once, right? I've always just felt broken. So let's start off the question. What would you say to the people who feel like they've never okay, let me start this again. Let's start this with the question. What would you say to the people who feel like they've never belonged, not even in their own families? So who wants to start that off?
I'll kick off with that. It's gonna sound a bit cliche, but you are enough, and acceptance starts with yourself. And if you're not fitting in where you are, then maybe you are that shining star trying to break through into something different to what you've been, the environment yourself in. I certainly found myself in situations where I didn't feel like I was quite, and making acceptance of that was a big part of my journey. So that's my minute on what I would say. You are who you are, and your authentic self, and from there.
What about you, Spencer?
Yeah, so I don't wish to take this over and be preachy at all. But for me, when I have tried to find my identity in how my family view me, or my identity as what a man is, or what my identity is as a provider, um, or what society suggests that a white male in his 30s should be, or should be at. I am always faced with ego and not being good enough, and so I try to circle back, and when I find my identity as being a child of God and someone that um, I know He loves me, and that's why my faith has been so important to me. But even more so, maybe someone doesn't have faith. Um, Relating back to what Gary shared is um, knowing that, like, in myself, in my inner being, I am none of the external things. I am not the car that I drive, or um, the amount of money in my bank account. Um, Even my physical attributes, I'm none of those things. I am a vessel, and I am to be used for love and for light and for truth, and that I am powerful, and that I can use my free will to literally radiate the room around me, to impact the people that I see, um, just with the thoughts that I have and the feelings that come from my heart. And so if I'm feeling bad and a bunch of low entity energies, shame, guilt, resentment, envy, lust, um, I can impact those around me with those negative feelings. But if I'm feeling joy and peace and light and laughter, and kindness, and not having expectations for when I share something with someone else, and have an expectation of they're going to do this as a reaction, or I'm going to get this from them because I did this, then that's how I stay grounded. I'm not perfect at it. I struggle all the time. It's a journey. But for me, yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, Greg. I hope it did.
I see a comment on the screen. You know who that is?
I do. That's my pride and joy. Hey, baby boy. Thanks for that.
Well, my follow-up question is, how does chronic disconnection start in early childhood? I mean, you're a father, I'm a father, Gary's a father, right? How does this disconnect start early? Like, have you noticed it early? I'm pretty sure I've noticed it. I'll share my thoughts after you guys.
Yeah, Gary, go ahead. Lead us off, my friend.
No problem. From a father, if I reflect back on my upbringing and I reflect back on the early stages of my parenthood, it starts with spending time with your children. I grew up in a family in small business. Everybody was working all the time, not a lot of family time. And if I reflect back, I can see I become very connected and felt like a bit of a loner in my own family for a while because I focused outwardly and not inwardly. And I have to admit, I was a bit like that when my kids were young. I was very work focused, not connecting back. And I noticed a disconnecting happening. And when I woke up to that, it was an absolute shock. And I turned my priorities around. I decided not to be work focused so much and started to be a bit more of a family focus. And if I'm honest, over the 10 years that I've been practicing that, building the relationship with my kids has escalated into a place. So that's how I see it happening from childhood. Can't hear you, Greg.
I think that personally, if we're not detecting and correcting what the doctors miss, that we're going to miss the disconnect early in the children. The reason why I say that is because I do that regularly with my clients, and remotely or in person, I'm able to detect and see certain things that, you know, we're not really picking up. But I think the biggest thing really is, are we spending enough time? Are we actually giving them the attention that they actually need? Because if we actually gave them the attention that they need, we'd maybe see where the disconnect is going to start. But what do you think there, Spencer?
I want to just clarify, is the timer in the top right corner, are these for fire rounds? Like, is that the intention?
Well, it's the attention is, if you keep your answer under a minute, then it's easier to for the audience to follow, and it's easier to repurpose the content. But I mean, really, it's a suicide prevention call, right? And I know if I was probably gonna commit suicide, I wouldn't want somebody rambling. So
Yeah.
it's up to you.
Okay. So, can you repeat the question again about childhood? The disconnect starts early as childhood.
Where do you think would be the best way to find the disconnect early in childhood from your
Yeah.
perspective?
From my perspective, we are programmed from the moment we enter the physical world, good and bad, right? And punishment and reward. And so a baby does good, they're rewarded multiple times a day. A baby does bad, and they're punished multiple times a day. And that goes all the way up until adulthood. And so I think encouragement and presence. They say, I don't know the exact statistic, but I know that children like who are encouraged on their effort, they perform way better than if they are said "great job" if you got a high test score. There's been many studies on that, and so, but presence is the number one. And another statistic is, especially boys. But the lack of a father in a household is detrimental to a young adolescent's upbringing. It's the numbers are not well when the mother is not present, but there's a huge difference when the father is not there. When it comes to self-harm, suicide rates, you're 5 times as likely. And then also 5 times as likely to be incarcerated and be addicted to drugs as well and alcohol. So yeah, you said it, Greg, presence, just being there. You know, they're little sponges. They soak up everything.
Shannon, I know you don't have any kids right now, but your dogs, right?
I do,
Your
but
dogs will go your dogs will go mental if you're not home. Like
I can
almost,
tell
you know.
you from my own personal experience and also looking at how my dogs react, nurturing is super important. And I think, as a woman, not being nurtured, but I think also just us being humans, if we're not nurtured as a child, then we're missing something, and that comes through into adulthood. And I think those who aren't nurtured as children, we have much more issues with self-esteem, anxiety, depression, feelings of belonging, even how we manage conflict, all of it, how we express ourselves, being assertive. I think everything also comes down to nurturing, and that's coming from a woman and somebody who, I might not have children, but I have dogs, and I see the difference in their behavior when they're nurtured from when I'm not around, and then I come back. It's like I have to reset and start over with them. So they're hyper, they act up, they're starved for affection. And I think us as humans, we're kind of the same way too. So I'm not saying humans are dogs, but I'm just saying that behavior wise, it's very similar between species. So that's what I've noticed.
I know Shannon pointed out to me that the run of the show was a little bit different for her. I had two different things going on, but I mean, I think it's running pretty good. I think we can keep this kind of format going. So
Mm-hmm.
if we go into segment 3, here it says like body image issues, dysphoria. Um, like I think that's an issue that is definitely, it doesn't matter if you're a teen, if it doesn't matter if you're an adult, at some point or another, we all look in the mirror and we, want a better result for ourselves. But for me, I was like over 350 pounds, and um, it definitely was a struggle to get under 200. Now I'm over 200. Now it's a struggle to get back, right? But a lot of people maybe right now maybe don't have that secret sauce, and they're like, I just want to give up. What would you say to them right now? Shannon?
I have struggled with how I look and in terms of weight for a very long time. I've also struggled with my own appearance and feeling like, not liking how I look, not thinking I'm pretty. And it's just, it's funny because I've always struggled with that. Cancer and being on air and seeing myself, I'm like, oh my God, I am kind of pretty some days. And then other days I'm kind of like, your face is a little chunky, but with my cancer, I think my body image got so much worse because when I was a teenager, I'm like 5'2", 5'3", and as a teenager, at my heaviest, I was 150, so that wasn't too bad. And I was told that I was fat and I needed to lose weight. But now with my cancer, I lost weight before treatment because I was, not eating, not able to eat while I was in the hospital, and then I had surgeries, and then in the first 6 weeks of my chemo treatment, I gained 60 pounds in 6 weeks. And then I gained another 20 pounds after that. So, and I'm struggling to lose that weight. And so now I have to regain. Like once I got comfortable in my body, when I got so small with cancer, it just left me so quickly. And then now I'm looking at my body and my weight is constantly a reminder of what I've gone through. And so now I struggle even more. So, it's definitely something that's very close to me as an issue. It's something that I experience every day, and it's not easy. Anybody
You're on
else?
mute.
Yeah, I knew. I would say that was definitely a story, and I think a lot of people might relate because you know half of us are being diagnosed with cancer these days, and yeah, we don't want to go to all those statistics, but that was a very powerful story. Gary.
Look, I think we all, at one stage or another, struggle with our appearance, our weight, our anything, or even our hair at one stage. For me, when that started to go, stand in front of a mirror, look into your own eyes, and tell yourself that you love yourself, and do it regularly. And if the tears come, beautiful. And just, we've all got great attributes. It may not be our height or our weight or something, but there's always something. And it's just, we live in a society where so much is put on our physical appearance that you could have the most perfect everything and still not feel adequate. And that's just a challenge we live in. It's getting worse and worse. So do the mirror exercise. That's what someone suggested to me a long time ago, and self-worth just started to improve. So that's my little contribution.
Yeah, mirror exercises have changed my life as words of affirmation and confidence. Confidence is so attractive. Shannon, I don't know what you looked like before, but you're a beautiful woman, and congratulations to you on your healing journey and for working on it. I'm sorry that you went through that, but I can tell that you're beautiful inside and out. So thanks for sharing. I was like 190 pounds, and when I was 10, I was too heavy for middle school wrestling. I went out for heavyweight, and I also tried to play football. Pop Warner, my son plays now, but back in the day, they did it by weight, not by age. And so the first time I ever tried to play, I was like 8, and they were
You're on mute, Greg.
Yeah, we saw last Spencer there, but for me personally, when I get really wanted to lose weight fast, it's 7 day fast. You know, I'll stop eating for 7 days. Normally, but first 3 days, I can lose about 15 pounds, and it definitely changes the way how you think and feel about yourself when you lose that weight. But I think the biggest thing is like how can we do more healthier, more motivational, more intentional habits to not have to be in that space of having to take all that weight off at all at once, right? And I think um, when it comes to eating and not feeling secure, and I think it's a space that we really need to search out for help. And you definitely you can always reach out to Gary, me, Shannon, Spencer, any one of us that you feel comfortable with on the live, because we definitely want to make sure you succeed, right? And we want to make sure that you're here tomorrow and we can have a conversation. So hopefully Spencer's gonna be back on. His son loves him, and the only really follow up to that question that we really have to talk about is when it comes to mental health, right? The mental health part. How do we seek help right away? Seek out to your 988, right? And seek out to the health professionals. Um, but catastrophic loss. So some people lose everything: money, job, freedom, and home, even reputation. And today, I think we're talking about how we could survive rock bottom, because some people some people are definitely at rock bottom right now, right?
Mm.
You ever coach somebody like that, Gary?
Look, yes, and including myself. And if you feel like you're near rock bottom, it's so important to reach out. You've mentioned your numbers in your country. Our country here, we have all sorts of support lines, like Beyond Blue, and that people can reach out to. I didn't reach out early when I was going through my rock bottom, and in hindsight, I should have. And I came from an industry and mindset where I thought I could think myself out of my lowest parts in life, and that stopped me from reaching out, partly for shame and embarrassment. And in reflection, it didn't work. Um, I should have reached out a lot earlier, and people around me, those that know of me, were giving their best support and probably encouraging me to do something like that, but I couldn't get my head into the spot to do it. And the other thing I really want to mention that I coach on and my own journey encapsulates as it's too is that you can't think yourself out of rock bottom. You got to get support, someone to help guide you, and you got to get physical, get your body moving, and take care of your physical health to help your mental health. I got myself stuck in some bad places for a long time because I kept trying to think my way out of it without support and without physical exercise to improve my overall general well-being. So that's my little piece of there.
So yeah, Spencer, we moved on to catastrophic loss, and we were talking about how some people lose everything: money, job, freedom, home, even reputation. And today they like hit rock bottom, and like for you, when you identify is tied to performance, or what happens when it all crumbles? Like, have you dealt with it, or have you dealt with clients that that been in that situation? What's the fastest way you can get them out of that?
When you're in a hole and you keep going down and you're spiraling, the very first thing is you can always put down the shovel. You can always stop where you're at. Really, stacking negative thoughts of I failed at this. Oh, I have no money. Oh, I suck. I have no friends. I have nothing. An exercise that I have learned recently from Stephen Furtick, which I've done with a couple of clients, is to get a piece of paper and literally think of one person in your life that might possibly want to help you. Just one person. Write it down on a piece of paper. Whether you think that would be an encouraging word, or maybe they have resources, anything. But more than like, you can think, no matter how bad you are, you can think of one person, and then when you come up with that person, write a second person, and then eventually you will have a list. And then just when you're all done your list, just create 10. uh, reach out to one person and say, hey, I'm going through this, can you help me, anything at all. um, and then also know that, like, don't tie your expectation of getting better, being better, with their response. They might not respond, they might be asleep. But I also loved what Gary said, is you got to move, you got to keep going. Emotion stands for energy in motion. And so, if you are sitting and you are still, that's how things are going to be. But my book says pick up your cross and follow me. So move. Don't sit there and chill. And also, sorry, I had some tech issues.
I love it, brother. That's a mic drop moment. Definitely a mic drop moment right there. I want to move into this topic because I think we don't talk about it enough. And I think every person at some point hears voices, hears that little voice in their head. Hey, buddy. landed. So, mental health, mental illness, hearing voices. So, what if your own brain is your biggest bully? Shannon, you want to read that next part?
Sorry. So I don't actually have that in my script, I don't think, in my run of show, but I'm gonna just
Yeah.
go based on my feelings and what I'm experiencing myself. I've been struggling with that my entire life. And then cancer somehow, after I hated myself, Gregory knows I shared on my own show, Blue Couch Chat, which I have as a cancer survivor of colon cancer. I was diagnosed at 29. I'll be 14 years out. Yes, I'm 43. I'll be 14 years out in a month, in October 5th. I'll be 14 years cancer free since my diagnosis. But somehow cancer made me love myself after I hated myself, going through hearing negative things about myself from my own family, my own parents, my own siblings. And then, you know, I was sexually assaulted as a teenager, as a child, again, as an adult, my early years, several times. And that takes a really big toll on a person and how they feel. And then I didn't have anybody that I could talk to about it. I didn't talk to anyone about it for decades. And then cancer made me love myself again, because I was like, if you're worth fighting for yourself and you did that in the split of a second, you were told you have cancer and it was, okay, God, we got this. Then you really are worth fighting for. And if you went through that awful chemo and all those surgeries and everything you went through, that shows how much you love yourself. And if you could get through that, you're stronger than you know, and you should love yourself. And I try to remind myself of that every day, because now I struggle. Today was a hard day. I called Greg, I called my friends, and I reached out and I said, I'm struggling. I feel like giving up. I'm going through a really hard time. I'm going through a heartbreak. And it's somebody that I really gave myself to. And it was like my last shot of, okay, I'm going to trust this person, although everybody's broken my heart in the past. And he broke my heart worse than anybody else could. And so I've been trying to tell myself that now, reach out, because my cousin committed suicide. And I know what that pain feels like, losing somebody. And I don't want to put anybody else through that. And so I try to be that voice for somebody else who's going through it, even when I'm going through it myself, to say you are worth it. And I did that for my now ex when he felt like that. He's a vet and he has a lot of issues, and addiction and stuff like that. And I try to be that for my ex. And then now I have to find that for myself, that voice that I was for everybody else. So, there's always sometimes, today of all days, I got so many calls and random text messages to check on me. And those people have no idea how much I needed that in that moment, just to remind me that somebody's thinking of me, people that I don't even think of. So, and I also want people to know that we could be that voice for other people, but when we need that voice, like we said, we need to know how to reach out. Reach out. Don't just give up, because there's always somebody who's willing to pull you out of that water when you're drowning. And so never feel that you have to drown and let yourself drown, because every day is worth living. And I got through cancer and it wasn't easy. Trust me, there were days I wanted to give up, but I'm so glad that I didn't give up, because if I did, I wouldn't be here now 14 years later. So I just want to say
Amen.
that.
Amen. Amen. Anything you need, we're here for you, Shannon. And, things are not always easy, but when you have a support system, we can get through things together. And when we get through things together, we can break bread another day. I think it's very important that we let people know exactly what's going on in the head too, because we have something called the reticulated activated system. And the reticulated activated system is our fright and flight. It's the place, it's the center where it's telling us, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Maybe there is, another way. But it's making us afraid to take that next step. It's making us afraid to call 988. It's making us afraid to go into the chat right now and send the questions out. Don't be afraid. This is a call-in show. If you have any questions, I know you guys have been messaging me privately. You don't have to put your name. You don't have to say anything else. You don't even have to come on with your picture. But that reticulated activated system is holding us back from seeking the help that we need right now. And simple thing that we can do is actually just stop and let's take a deep breath. Everybody, let's just take a deep breath. Try not to move your chest. Try to get it right down to the bottom of your belly because that's going to allow the oxygen to get down to the bottom of our lungs and to our brain and allow us to make a little bit better decisions right now. And if you don't feel like you want to give up right now, then you need to share this live because somebody else out there wants to give up. Spencer, what are the statistics right now? Because I read that 3 out of 5 Americans right now don't think that people have proper mental health right now in America.
That sounds about right. I don't know the exact statistics of other things. I want to give Shannon some love right now, girl. I'm just meeting you tonight for the first time on this call, and the amount of courage it just took for you to get real right now with that and vulnerable, being the co-host of this group session and taking it live. I just want to say you're a badass. Uh, you got my vote of confidence, and I think you're awesome. And I'm so excited to learn about the blue couch chat, what you got going on there. Yeah, and you're loved. And I'm sorry you had a bad day. I hope this is a highlight of it for you. It's great that you had some texts and calls come up. Um, and you're most definitely loved and worthy of love. And the guy that broke your heart, I have no idea what that situation is. And there's a cliche statement of, God's rejection is really God's blessing, or someone else's rejection is really God's blessing. But it's all learning, and probably not right now, but at some point down the road. I hope you find it in yourself to forgive him, because you deserve it. You deserve that for your peace. And there is most definitely somebody out here that would love to serve you the way a man is supposed to serve a woman, and love you and cherish you and appreciate you. Um, and so just keep focusing on building the best you that you can be, and he will show up. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Spencer. You have no idea how much that means to me. The issue is that I have forgiven myself, and the issue is that I have forgiven him because I've done a lot of research on things that he has been dealing with that definitely influenced his behavior. And I wish that I had looked into those things while I was with him, because I do feel I am the person who would at least help him and understand and be empathetic and compassionate. But his not sharing what he needed to share with me and hiding certain things that he didn't have to hide because he didn't feel like I could be a safe place. He failed himself because he lost a really wonderful person who would take him as he is and accepts him as he is. Even things that he doesn't want to accept about himself, I'm willing to accept. And that's a certain type of love that not everybody gets the opportunity to have in their lifetime. So I'm trying to remind myself of that and to not feel guilty for it, because I gave him something, and I am something that he is going to need and that he will need for the rest of his life to support him. And in terms of being vulnerable and real, that's why I created Blue Couch Chat, is to be a safe place to talk about your ish. And I actually say shit. It's the real, the literal, colorectal cancer will deal with a lot of ish, or cancer deal with a lot of ish. Colorectal cancer is extra ishy, but life has its ish. And then we have our mental health ish. And so let's talk about all of that. And, I just want to say I'm not a mental health therapist, but I'm somebody who's dealt with personally with depression and suicidal thoughts and ideation. And I just want to say that what people need to know is that there's a very, very thin line, if there is even a line between suicidal thoughts, ideation, and the actual act. And you need to know how to catch yourself right before that line, because if you wait too late, you can't save yourself and somebody else can't save you. So don't let yourself cross that thin part, cross over into that where you're actually acting on it. Catch yourself, take a breath, because you know what? If you can't take it day by day, week by week, month by month, then you know what? Take it hour by hour, not that minute by minute. And if not that, then every second. Because from 1 second to another, how do you get an elephant? One bite at a time. Take your life one bite at a time, whatever that size that bite needs to be. And if you can't take a bite, then you know what? Drink. I haven't been eating for weeks. I've at least been trying to drink some coconut water. And when I can't do that, I try to force myself. And that's how we need to think about life, And if you can't drink, then breathe. But do something to get you through that moment, that moment. Just we've gotten through 100% of our bad moments up to that bad moment. We can get through that one too. We've been batting 100% so far. And I try to remind myself of that and others too. It's so important. And what I've been through with cancer, I don't think anything can be worse than that. But I'm doing some courses and some reading. And I realized that in a book that I read, in a textbook, it says that people who have cancer actually don't survive. They don't deal with certain life issues that seem so small to others. We don't deal with them as easily after a cancer diagnosis. I would love to know why, and research that why it's so much harder to deal with stuff that's so minimal compared to what we went through already. But I think that would be something that would be really good for people to know. That should be public for people to know why when you have cancer, little things seem so much bigger.
Wow. When I was in pain for 30 years and seen over 30 specialists, I'm not saying that I've never thought about killing myself, because I have. And maybe I drew some attention to myself. But as you said, was I really ready to do it? I probably wasn't, but I definitely did draw attention to myself to maybe get the love I needed. I wouldn't say the help I needed, because I didn't really have to go for that much psychology or anything like that. But sometimes it's only until you reach rock bottom until you know you need help. And that's one of the things that me as a health professional want to change. I want to change the fact that you don't have to be right on the bridge to, for us to see that you actually need the help. Mm-hmm. If we spend more time reaching out to each other, I think it's going to be a whole lot. It's a whole lot more community, because Spencer, me and him talk. Now me and Gary's going to talk more, and me and Shannon's been talking. But we want to talk to you guys. We want to make sure that we keep the conversation going, because we love each other and we want to see everybody succeed. Excuse me, I'm dealing with some mosquito. He's trying to bite me. But I just had a few topics here that I think we should talk about before I do a little bit of training, how I can help people, and they can definitely reach out to you guys after. We'll put up your contacts. But we haven't really talked about, if someone's dealing with the death of a child right now, and there's not much hope for them that they're seeing right now. So what's the one thing that maybe, Gary, you can say to somebody that maybe just lost a child, or maybe a spouse, a long lost partner, 30 years, 40 years married, and they're alone now?
That's a big question, Greg, and it's not something that I've lived through, so I can't speak from direct personal experience from my own experience. But if I had to give some advice to somebody there, it's like to practice. I'm going to use the word forgiveness because it's not your fault that it happened. And yes, it's a really, really grieving process. But if you have lost a child, for example, and I do know people who have lost child, it's like it's not your fault that you lost them. If it was something beyond your control, and to forgive yourself for any grief or pain you might be going through in relationship to that. And as I said, I haven't lived through this, and I can only imagine how much tougher it would be. So that's my little wisdom there on that. And yeah, I'll just leave it at this because it's a sensitive topic, and maybe Spencer or Shannon might have some more insight.
Definitely not comparing, but I've suffered miscarriages. I've actually had to have an abortion as the result of a sexual assault / rape. Recently lost my baby, my Chihuahua, who I had for 10 years, who got me through most of my survivorship and a quarter of my life. And just that loss, losing loved ones, losing friends. I just lost my best friend of 7 years who knew me more than anyone I've ever met in my life. Yuli, he was a fellow colon cancer survivor, and he fought for 8 years. I was the first person he met in the space, and we really bonded. And I walked him through cancer side by side. I was his ride or die, literally. And these losses, losing so many friends who are so young. And, there are weeks where I lose 3-4 friends in 1 week. And those losses, from just colon cancer, not even, other things. And so those losses are all hard, whether it's a dog or a person, as long as it's somebody that you loved, something that you loved, it's very hard to lose another living being who means something to you in your heart. And I think grief, for me, I always say it's the hardest emotion because it's all of the emotions in one and just one jumbled mess. And you don't even know how to start to untangle that mess of ribbons and yarn and everything else is jumbled in it. And grief doesn't go away. You just learn how to carry the weight. But the weight of grief, especially that I've been carrying, and the survivor's guilt and everything that comes through with it, it's a lot. It can be a lot. But like everything else, you will get through it. And, I have friends who've lost, I have a friend, Linda, she lost her friend, Lee, who's the whole reason why I have Blue Couch Chat. But that's a whole different story. But I check on her from time to time because I know how hard her grief is, and I check on my friends who've lost their spouses or, lost their children. Or I have a friend who, my mom's friend, she's lost her husband to suicide, and she was there for me through my cancer. And now I'm trying to be there to be her support through what she goes through, because I know what that's like, not to lose a spouse, but to lose somebody I love to it. And it's a different type of grief when you lose somebody to suicide. And so that's why I want to take this moment to remind everyone, you do not want to put your loved ones through that. And you might not feel that you're not loved, but there's always at least one person. And sometimes we're more loved by more people than we even imagine. How many people we've touched, and how many people would really hurt in a way you can't even imagine if you chose to not be here. So don't make that choice. Choose to live. Choose to not put your loved ones through pain. You might be in pain, but your loved ones would rather help you through that pain than lose you. So don't ever forget that. Today I reached out to Gregory. I haven't even known him that long, but he's been here for me in such a big way. You always have somebody, and sometimes God sends you those people that you need the right time. Because tonight I almost canceled. I was almost like, Gregory, I'm not going to be my best, but I made a commitment last week. Gregory knows I'm going to show up at my best or my worst, but I'm going to be vulnerable, transparent, genuine, and real. And that's what I'm doing tonight. I might be in tears most of the time. This is a really hard topic, but I was like, you know what? I need this, and God wants me to be here. And I'm really glad I showed up, because if I didn't show up, I would have missed out on a great opportunity to talk about what we need to talk about and possibly help somebody else out there. So I'm just grateful that I showed up and that we have you guys here.
Yeah, we need more vulnerability in this world. So kudos to you showing up, and for all you guys and that and what you're doing here, because we need more of it.
Spencer,
Um,
I really want you to pour in on this subject. I know you want to pour into her, but this is how you're gonna do it. The spiritual crisis. What if God feels silent? Because we're in this crisis, right? And how do we make God not silent? Because if we're running into these crises, man, we need your direction.
um, First, I want to acknowledge anyone that ever listens to this or is currently that I have never experienced the loss of a living child. And I pray to God that that never happens. And also, um, losing a loved one or a family member that intentionally takes their life, that level of grief, in comparison to a car accident or a health concern, um, although very awful and traumatic, not to ever take away from the pain of that. Um, Knowing that somebody was going through something and either you were not aware or not paying attention, and maybe they did something but you kind of brushed it off, and then having to live with that forever. I was with someone for a little bit of time, somebody that helped me with my recovery, and she's actually the mother of one of my children. Um, Her brother took his life, and I saw the effects of that on that family, and also extended even into the community members. And it was years later. I mean, it impacts um, the rippling effects. My stepdad, who raised me, I've only seen him cry a few times my whole life. One of which, when he shared with me that his best friend throughout his whole childhood took his life. Um, and so, for me, spiritual warfare is real. It's a real thing. Um, God is alive and well, and He is working all the time, and He is working through you and for you. And at that same token, um, it's my belief. I don't wish to scare anyone. And if you don't believe this, I hope I don't disrespect you, but it's my belief also that you can open yourself up to attacks. Um, by committing sin, by hanging out with people that are doing bad things. You know, that gut feeling that you get, your intuition, that is discernment telling you in your soul and your being that this is not for me. I am not supposed to be here. And you should trust that. Um, and so when you are at that moment and you feel like you're God, how come you are not here? How come, why did you let that happen to me? Why didn't you save me? And the big argument on this exact topic is, if there was a God, why would he let such an evil thing happen to me? um and that's why we have free will. To take this from a brother of mine, I hope it's okay that I'm going on a rant now, Greg. I apologize, but um, without free will, we couldn't have love. Because if God made us do certain things and we were like robots, then real, true agape love would not exist. You know, the Bible tells us to love thy brother, love thy neighbor, to love each other, but He doesn't make us do that. We get to choose that. We're supposed to. Um, And so for me, it was complete surrender. There was a moment where I wanted to really take my life. There's been times in my life where I've had real suicidal thoughts. And I mean, it took me literally crawling through the mud in a thunderstorm, being poured down sideways, literally crawling and just, dear Father God, please help me, screaming to him, Holy Spirit, Lord God, I'll do anything. God, help me, help me, help me. And it was for me a physical release of fear of a I get to live, I get to breathe. It's precious. It's such a precious gift to live. Um, when you're in it, when you're in that moment, it is so difficult to realize that. I understand that. There are some things that can help you by fasting, okay? Not just from food, but from physical, the flesh wants not only Reese cups, but sex. It wants to feel good. It wants to watch TV, absorb, release endorphins, okay? By abstaining from pleasure, okay? And by prayer, and by also reaching out to others. And it says when two or more are gathered with me, he is with us. That's true. That is absolutely true. Right now the Holy Spirit is working right now. The universe, if that's what you want to call it, um karma, all that good stuff. So surrender. Don't resist whatever moment is coming at you, however crappy it is. Let it flow. Let it I'm not explaining that properly. The Bible says when you get struck on this side, Jesus said to turn the other cheek and offer this. Okay, um, let it come. Have no fear. Thanks, Greg. You're muted.
I'm gonna share a little bit about my story. So I started to feel a little bit better, but everything that I was doing was not sustaining. Everything that I was doing wasn't sustaining. I wasn't listening. I wasn't hearing God. But every time that I pressed scan on my program and I read the report, it said, if you want everything to go the way how you want, I need to fix my spiritual connection with God. It said that I needed to repair my relationship with God. So if you find yourself right now in a situation where you don't think you can make it the next 5 minutes and you don't hear God, well, I think it's time for you to call him. If you don't know how to call him, you can call Spencer, you can call me. But with the tool that we're going to show you at the end of the show, the same tool that I use, we can correct those frequencies in your head right now that are saying, I can't do it. But I'm saying, let's get those words out of your mouth. It's already been done. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So I don't want to draw this out too much. And I know Gary's in Australia. So Gary, why don't you give us some inspiration, motivation for your closing thought?
Thanks, Greg. Look, know that you are enough by yourself and forgive yourself. Echo that mirror exercise, stare into the mirror, find your own self-love, and do it until the tears run if that's what you need to do. It can be life transforming. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Gary. And Spencer, what do you think What do you think somebody needs to hear right now so they have a little bit of hope and they'll call 988 or call us or do something other than commit suicide?
First thing I want to say is, Greg, Mr. Quantum Boss, thank you for doing what you're doing right now, man. Thank you for trying to reach and trying to help and support and serve. I love you so much, brother, and have so much respect for where you've been and where you're at now in your journey. Um, and then to speak to the individual that's truly hurting right now, I want to tell you that I love you, brother, sister, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. Doesn't matter what you have done. It doesn't matter how bad it was or is right now, currently. I want to tell you that there's a purpose for you and that you have gotten through every awful thing, like Sister Shannon said a little bit ago. And now you are here. And so you have choices, you have options. If you're at a point where you are thinking about ending it, if that's where it's at for you, there is help. Are numbers that you can call. And more importantly, you can surrender and pray to the Lord. Don't let your emotions rule you, my friend. Mm, yeah. And please reach out to me. If I can help you, I absolutely will. Even if you're not in this state, this town, this country, if you're far away, we will figure out some resources to get to you. Love you, homie.
Um, I just want to say, Spencer, thank you so much for everything that you said to me and for everything that you said to those who will be viewing, are viewing. But I also want to say, thank you to Gary as well for being here. It's been an honor for me to be here tonight, especially the fact that I had to show up. I had to push myself to get out of bed, to take a shower, do my hair, show up. But what I want to say is that there's always someone listening. There's someone always willing to listen. There's always someone willing to be there. And the biggest person that we have is God. And he's always listening. And even when we think that he's silent, he's yelling at us. It's us that's not listening. It's us that's not listening for what he has to say. And today he yelled at me. He made me listen. He made me hear him. He made me show up today for this because he was giving me messages and letting me know I'm not alone, right? And so one thing that I want to remind people, I just looked up some stats and I just want to go through them real quickly. But in terms of cancer survivors, our issues of psychological conditions and suicide risk vary among cancer survivors, but many experience such issues. So we're not alone when we feel that we're going through these things, even after we fought for our life or we're fighting through our life. Like, why do we want to give up? But 25% of survivors may show symptoms of depression, 45% anxiety, and approximately 20% of PTSD, which tells you that hardly any of us get through this untouched, right? When you add that up. So don't feel like you're alone or that you're wrong for feeling the way you do, because your emotions obviously are valid when you look at those stats. There's a reason that we have these stats. Sexual assault survivors, you know, most have a significantly higher risk of developing anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and suicidal thoughts. And I just want to say that I think they say like 50% of survivors in the U.S. actually actually experience this, whereas the normal rate in the American population is just 7.8% for the lifetime. So that tells you that that's significant. And then just trauma in general, they suffer, once you have a trauma, you are at a higher rate of suffering from depression, anxiety, suicide, and other psychological issues. So I just wanted to say that you're not weird for feeling that way. PTSD is about 6% of the population suffer that at some point in their life, and it varies significantly with higher rates of trauma. And then depression is at least 23%. Just in Oklahoma City bombing for survivors, 23% of them actually suffered from depression. So that just tells you that if you suffer from some kind of trauma, and especially if you lose somebody, that counts as a trauma. So we need to remember that and be gentle on ourselves, and just remember that if you go through something, and trauma is also very subjective, and one person might experience something, but it's a different level of trauma from another person. So always remember that you might think that a paper cut is a big deal for you because it's bleeding, but somebody else might go through major surgery, and you might think that they'll think that that's nothing, and the other way around. You can't judge somebody else's pain, and you can't judge your own pain based on what others go through. Your pain that you feel is real and it's valid, and whether it's a scale of a 0 or a 10, it doesn't matter what you think it is that you're going through, what the level that is, but your pain is real and it's valid no matter what level, no matter what experience. So I just want to say that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shannon, for that. And you're right, all those statistics really add up to we need solutions. And right on the screen here is one of the solutions that I'm talking about, which is the AO scan. And this module that I'm showing here is the inner voice module. And right from your voice, even without it, we can isolate 100,000 frequencies, and we can detect and correct exactly what's going on inside the body. So if you're watching this live right now and you need a little bit of extra oomph to stop from committing suicide, stop from hurting yourself, please message the show right now and we'll send out this program to you. It's free. Anybody that signs up or calls in, even after the show, you'll get this recording so you can balance your frequencies. I don't know if I can get it a little bit bigger, but once you put in your first name, your last name, your email address, we can send it off to you and you can get some balancing frequencies. But I'm just going to play a little video here. What is it?
The inner voice scan is an incredible part of AO scan technology. It takes just a small snapshot of your voice and measures the audio frequencies, then plays balancing frequencies to create harmony in your body. Did you know that your vocal cords hold information about your thoughts, emotions, and your well-being? Inner voice helps diminish the excess frequencies you may have and bolsters those you lack. Learn more about inner voice by tapping the question mark icon on the top right corner of your device. Are you ready to run an inner voice scan? Let's go. Tap the microphone button here to record your voice if you'd like to just do an inner voice scan. Tap this button if you'd like to do an inner voice and also a vital scan. You'll want to start by saying, "I am," followed by your first and last name, and continue talking about anything you'd like for 10 seconds. Now your report has been generated. Put on some headphones or earbuds and tap Balancing Harmonics to listen to your tones and bring your body into balance. Please remember, your reports are private and we do not save them. If you would like to keep them, tap on the Reports button to send them to your connected account email. One last thing. Towards the bottom, you will see the 4 notes which are out of balance for you at the time of your scan. To strengthen your results, use the recommended colored Lightwave glasses. Our proprietary Lightwave glasses come in 12 colors, and each carries its own benefits. We are so excited for you to try Inner Voice and immediately benefit from this incredible technology. Want more information? Tap on the question mark button to read all about Inner Voice.
Yeah, as I said, just reach out and you'll get that program sent to your email, and it definitely will start balancing your emotions, even your physical, but it will give you suggestion is exactly what you got to do. But as I said, or if I didn't know, I detect and correct what the doctors miss, but I also deal with very severe cases too. So PTSD, schizophrenia. We just have to reprogram the brain. What? So yeah, if you're really stuck, I'm telling you, this hub will reprogram. I'm gonna say reprogram. It's gonna make a new neural pathway in the brain. So think about it this way: you got some roads going in the brain, and it's not really going that well. Well, I'm gonna bring the construction crew right to your brain, and we're gonna make new roads with the hub. With this little thing, it's used to be in $100,000 machine. Now I got it much cheaper. We can reprogram the brain. So if you got somebody that's dealing with schizophrenia, uh, suicidal thoughts, whatever, PTSD, remotely, in person, we have solutions. So that's pretty much it for the show today. Let's bring back on Shannon and see what inspiration she has for us.
Um, I just want to close out by saying that just like I did tonight and I do on my hard days now, we have to show up. We have to show up for ourselves. We have to show up for others. And it doesn't matter what we look like. We could be a mess and we can still show up for ourselves like I did tonight. And I can still show up for others like I did tonight. And even when you're going through your own hardship, you can still help somebody else, even if it's just by sharing your own hardship and your own journey of what you're going through. You never know who needs to hear what you're going through, whether it's they're going through the same thing or something similar, or they thought that what they were going through was so bad and that, you sharing your journey helps them. And I just want to give one snippet of how that worked was that I had colon cancer and I had an ostomy. And my mom's friend in New York was diagnosed with breast cancer and she had a mastectomy. And we went up to visit her and give her some support, especially because I had cancer. We felt that I could understand and we could empathize with her journey. And I'm laying in her bed and she's there out in the living room with my mom and I fall asleep and I wake up and I'm covered in ish in her bed. And her bed is covered in my ish, my ostomy. I had a blowout. And I woke up screaming, crying, embarrassed, just everything, feeling bad for messing her bed up, just awful and traumatized. And they heard me screaming and they ran in, and I'm there covered in poop, standing up, screaming and eking and, crying and traumatized. And her friend just started laughing. And I thought she was laughing at me. And so I started screaming and crying more. But she said, "You have no idea how that helped me because I thought my journey was so bad I lost my boobs. But here you are covered in literal poop." And now I can laugh at it. But you never know how you being covered in your own ish, literally and figuratively, can help somebody realize that their own ish isn't so bad. And sometimes we go through this rough spot. Like in that moment, I never thought that 14 years later, I'd be talking about that moment on the screen publicly on the internet out forever and laughing about it. And that just tells you
Yep.
that sometimes in our worst moments, covered in ish, all stinky and smelly, later on we'll be able to laugh about it and share it freely. So I just want to say that, that's why it's important to get through those hard moments, because eventually you'll be where I am right now, where I can't stop laughing. So, total opposite of where I was back then, but yeah.
So I know Spencer wants to chime in there, but just my closing thought is that there's definitely room for education. And that's why we're here. We're here to educate you that there's another step. This is not the last step. So let's just leave that with that. And there's an outro video that can definitely show you what the next steps are. So have a good night, guys. And if you need help, we're here 24 hours a day.
Do you feel in tune with your body? Nearly 70% of Americans don't. They say the healthcare system isn't meeting their expectations. Why? Modern medicine often focuses on symptoms, while innovation is slowed by bureaucracy, outdated systems, and cost. Millions of people are looking for empowering solutions that align with the body, rather than override it to support a longer, more vibrant life. Powerful wellness tools are available to help, but few know they exist. They can accurately allow us to assess and understand our body. Your body is composed of trillions of vibrating cells constantly communicating via subtle frequencies, just like satellite systems, Wi-Fi, and radio waves. These communication signals are part of your natural biofield, but daily exposure to environmental stressors, technology, and emotional pressure can influence those frequencies. This interference may affect how you feel, focus, and function. Supporting your body's natural frequency patterns may help you reconnect with clarity, calm, and balance. The question is, how can you tune into those patterns and learn from them? The answer is in the palm of your hand. Meet AO Scan technology. AO Scan is an advanced wellness program that simply helps support a healthy biofield. Using proprietary algorithms and a library of frequency blueprints, the AO Scan identifies variances and delivers supportive frequencies designed to encourage balance and harmony. What can AO Scan do for you? Here are just a few unique tools inside the system. Let's start with our most popular module, Cephi. Need support with energy, focus, or restful sleep? Cephi, or Subtle Energy Frequency Imprinter, helps you broadcast or imprint subtle frequencies aligned with your personal wellness goals. Choose from thousands of frequency playlists designed to support mental clarity, emotional ease, seasonal transitions, and more. Let's move to another powerful module within the AO Scan, Inner Voice. Your voice reveals more than words. It reflects your current energetic and emotional tone. Inner Voice records a 10-second voice sample and uses sound harmonization to create custom audio tracks that promote emotional awareness and inner calm. These tones incorporate elements like binaural beats, harmonics, and color suggestions for a multi-sensory wellness experience. Listen a few times a day to help cultivate presence, confidence, and emotional clarity. Up next, we have vitals, body systems, and comprehensive scans. These features offer a deeper look at your body's energetic patterns. Using blueprint frequencies, you can explore insights related to common themes such as energy flow, stress response, or physical resilience. Vitals gives a quick snapshot of frequency trends across multiple energetic themes. Body Systems maps frequency patterns associated with different functional systems. Comprehensive explores even more layers of vibrational data tied to organs, bones, and cells, offering expanded insight into your energetic profile. Next is Easy Scan. In just 6 minutes, Easy Scan combines 3 powerful features: Inner Voice, Vitals, and Comprehensive into one seamless experience. It delivers a unified frequency-based report that helps you explore and understand your current energetic state and how to support it through daily practices. Feeling unfocused or ungrounded? Try Quick Scan. It offers short wellness experiences throughout your day. Choose sessions like Supercharger, Relax, Grounding, or Focus. Each one is designed to support your mood and mindset. Last, but far from least, is AO MindSync. AO MindSync lets you record and customize powerful affirmations in your own voice. Combine tones, music, and emotional intent into a guided listening experience that helps reinforce your mindset and personal goals. All of these features, and many more, are designed to help you reconnect, realign, and restore balance to your biofield. As Albert Einstein said, "The future of medicine is frequency. That future is closer than you think. It's already in your hands." Welcome to Possibility. Welcome to AO Scan,